So far, for every sketch we've drawn, we've emphasized that you must first select a plane and then draw the sketch on that plane. However, selecting a plane is essential for the standard sketching method. If we want to create a 3D sketch, we no longer need to define a plane. Instead, we can draw directly in 3D space. Let's take a look at how to create a 3D sketch together. In the Sketch tab, I click the drop-down arrow next to Sketch and select 3D Sketch. Now, SolidWorks doesn't ask me which plane I want to draw on the sketch. I'll select the Line command. Notice that under the pencil icon cursor, it says X, Y. This means that based on the coordinate system here, we are currently drawing on the XY plane. If I press the Tab key on the keyboard, XY changes to YZ, meaning we are now drawing on the YZ plane. I press Tab key again. It changes to ZX, and I can draw on the ZX plane. I hold the middle mouse button and drag to rotate the 3D sketch and view it from different angles. We can see how we've drawn a 3D sketch in 3D space. Okay, now let's apply this concept and draw the shape. I enter a 3D sketch, and I start by drawing a square on the ZX plane. The exact dimensions don't matter in this exercise. I'm just showing how to build the shape in 3D Sketch. You can add dimensions later if you want. I select the Rectangle tool and choose the second type. I press Tab once, then Tab again to switch to the ZX plane. First click at the origin, then the second click. I make these two equal. In the same way, I draw these four lines using the Line tool again. So I select the Line tool. I switch to the YX plane by pressing the Tab key and draw the line. Line tool again in the XY plane. And then I make these four lines equal to each other. If we toggle Show Relations on, we can see a relation called along Y here. SolidWorks automatically applied it to the lines while I was drawing. Essentially, this line is aligned along the Y-axis. In 3D sketching, SolidWorks adds these specific relations: along Y, along X, and along Z. Using the Rectangle tool again, this time I select the first type, on the ZX plane, so I press the Tab key and connect the lines like this. Just like before, I create the lines using the Line tool on the YX plane. I apply an equal relation to these four lines and this reference line so that all 8 lines become equal. Using the Line tool again on the ZX plane, so I hit Tab to switch to the ZX plane. I connect these lines. To draw this section, I'll use a different approach. First, I'll define a plane here, and then draw the 3D sketch on that plane. We'll cover plane creation in detail in future sessions. For now, I'll just give a quick explanation here so you get familiar with defining a plane inside a 3D sketch and drawing on it. So, while I'm still in the 3D sketch, I select the Plane command. Here, it asks for 3 different references. To define a plane in 3D space, we need a maximum of 3 references, meaning we can define it with 1 reference, 2 references, or up to 3. Since I want the first reference to be parallel to the top plane, I select the top plane here. It automatically sets the relation to parallel and just asks for the distance. I set the distance to 300 millimeters as an example, and then click OK. As I mentioned, we'll cover constraints and plane creation in detail in later sessions. So the plane is created, and from now on, all sketching will be on this plane. I select the rectangle tool again, and using the first type, I draw a square here. I convert this rectangle into a square by applying the equal relation. Actually, let me draw this shape using the second type of rectangle tool. So, rectangle tool, second type, like this. Well then, in the next step, I turn this into a square. To align this point, normal to the origin, I use the normal relation, like this. Because here, a vertical relation doesn't really apply in the same way. Vertical is defined relative to this specific plane. Currently, these lines are horizontal, and these are vertical on this plane. So these 2 points cannot simply take a vertical relation. I also make this line and this line equal to each other. Now, to exit this plane, I'll double-click anywhere in the graphics area to leave the plane and return to the main 3D Sketch environment. Using the line tool on the XY plane, I connect the lines. For this section, I define a plane in the same way, passing through this line and this line. So again, my first reference is this line. My second reference is this line, and the plane is defined. I click OK. Then, I can rotate the view normal to the plane by holding the middle mouse button. Using the Arc tool, third type, I create a semicircle like this. Then, I double-click anywhere in the graphics area to exit the plane. I receive another plane. For the first reference, I select this line. For the second reference, I select this line, then click OK. And then on this new plane, I create the shape using the third type of the Arc tool. Now, to edit the sketch on this plane, I just double-click the plane. That puts me right into edit mode. To exit, I double-click anywhere in the graphics area to leave the plane. So, that is how we create 3D sketches.